So this is the video to run through all the things that I've learnt when installing tubeless tyres to hopefully just make things as easy as possible. It's been a lot of trial and error, and boy have I got it wrong in the past, so hopefully this can help. But also, if there's some other tips that anybody else knows, please let me know. So first things first, before I start really worrying even about the old, we're going to focus on the new ones. Now, to make your life easy, get the new tyres out and get them in the sun to get them nice and warm, if that's possible. If you're somewhere that's cold or it's the middle of winter, chuck them in a warm bucket of water. The more pliable these new tyres are, the simpler it is to seat them once you dump the tank of air in there. With the old wheels, if possible, remove the valve tube. Now, if you're doing anything I've found up to about 32mm road tyres, you don't need to remove the valve core. But as soon as you start going above 32 and you start going into gravel wheels or stuff like that, removing the valve core just makes it easier. So get the valve core out when you're taking the old ones off. Just simplifies things. Now also a couple of other little bits of equipment that I use just to make things simple for me. I've got a Tubeless Joe Blow pump. Now this is great because it's got a canister in it. So you essentially pump up this canister. This thing will hold about 10 bar or something like that, and then you dump that entire tank in. Once again, for road tyres, anything up to 30, 32, you can just do it with a normal hand pump and it should be fine. But if you're doing bigger gravel tyres or mountain bike tyres, these things are brilliant. Orange seal sealant, it's injectable, it's been flawless. Love this stuff. I got just a normal, what's this? It's no name brand, just injector, just makes things a lot easier. And also, this is one of those lovely little tips I've picked up over time, just some washing up liquid. Now, what I do with this is once I've put the new tyres on the wheel, before I try and seat them, I just put a tiny bit of this on some paper towel, run it around the bead, and it just makes them seat so much easier. Everybody should have this at home. You can buy dedicated tyre bead wax. Just get something like this. Just helps lubricate them, makes them seat on normally first time. Right, I'm going to get the old tyres off and then get the new ones on once they're nice and warm. The old tyres are off the wheel, but one thing that's important to do is you'll notice potentially there, still on the inside is dried up bits of the old sealant from when the last tyres were on there. So all I'm going to do is just go around with a towel, give it a bit of a wipe, and all this old sealant should just come off. Don't want to leave it on there because it could stop the new tyres from actually sitting on the bead. That's also why I do this in the garage now and not inside, because of the mess. It's much more wife approved. It's another plus for orange seal is the fact that the old stuff comes off pretty easily versus Silka, which will never come off. Well, the old Silka. So with the old tyre off, the old sealant cleaned off and the valve cores removed, it's also a good time, just get like a cocktail stick or the smallest Allen key you have and just give it a little poke down the valve core and just make sure there's no dried up old sealant inside it. Alright, let's go get the tyres out of the sunshine. Ooh, they are nice and warm. So before we put the tyres on, just check which way they're meant to rotate, so you're getting the right way round. It does matter, despite what some people say. Now these are the new Pirelli P0 Race TLR 40mm tyres. Curious to see how these go on the commuter. Now with one side on, I'm just going to give the other side a little wipe around with some paper towel and the washing up liquid, and that'll just make everything easier when it comes to actually inflating them. Now one last thing, wherever the logo is, make sure to align it a good 8 to 10 inches off center from the valve to really trigger some of your riding buddies. Oh yeah, look at that. That'll get some comments. Alright, let's get the pump sorted. So with this one, we just pump up and sort of prime this tank and then twist it, and it just dumps everything into it. With the bigger tires, just makes it easier. So, famous last words, but hopefully this should just go on first time now. Tire's nice and soft. The valve core's removed, and the edge of the bead has got that little bit of lubricant on it. Yeah, nice. No massively loud bang or crack either. Gosh, these are some chunky boys. Now you can put the sealant in before by just pouring it in. The reason I don't do that is I've had issues seating tires before, and if you've got loads of sealant in there and you keep trying to like pump air in, it can just blow out and get messy. After it's beaded on like this, obviously I've got to let all the air out because I've got to inject in the sealant, but even if some of the tire comes off the bead, you'll be 95% of the way there, so it just makes things easier. So I'll take the pump off now. I will repeat the same thing all over again with the other wheel, so I'm ready to go with the sealant for both at the same time. If you ever find that getting one of the bits of beads over a rim is tricky and it's slipping, just put a paper towel, a towel on it. Gives you a bit of grip. If you're at home and you've got the equipment, just make use of it. That logo's accidentally completely straight on. Maybe we'll do one straight and one off center. I'll be honest, they're not the easiest of tires to get onto the wheel. Had the Pathfinder Pros before that would just fall on. These are just as tight as any Pirelli. If you know, you know. Same again. So now they're both pumped up and deflated. They're both still sat on the rim, they haven't dropped off, so happy days. Now, because these are 40mm tires, I'm going to put in, honestly, I'm probably going to dump in about 100mm of sealant. The bigger the tire, it will soon coat the outside, and you kind of want some sloshing around in there a little bit. I just dump as much in there as I feel like it, because if I'm going to get a puncture, a load of it's going to come out, so the more that's in there, the better. Ended up with about 90mm. Always make a mess. Now in this instance, I'm actually putting in some new valve cores because the old ones were just absolutely gunked up. Got these off like AliExpress. I think it was like a pack of 20 for a couple of dollars. So just nice and new and clean. So I'll put a new valve core in each wheel. The most tubeless valves these days have got, at least they normally come with one of these little valve core removers. Just makes things simpler. Alright, I'll get the other one done and then we'll pump them both up. So this time now we'll just pump them up normally. The bead came off slightly on this one, but this one it's still 100% on there. I think we'll stick like 40 PSI in it. See how we go from there. Now once it's pumped up, give it a bit of a swish and a swirl. Just helps get the sealant all around it. But ideally just go for a little ride around the block. Just helps move the sealant all the way around. And really you're just trying to make sure that it seals it all around the edges. I'm curious how wide these actually are on these reserve wheels. Let's find out. 38. The internal rim width on these reserve gravel wheels is like 24, so they don't blow out super wide. Might be going some of the new Explorer Zip wheels, so hopefully they'll puff out a little bit more. Right, let's get the other one done. Now you might not be able to see it, but about half of this wheel has come off. You can sort of see around there it's not seated, but because the rest of it has, I can just pump it up normally and it should be fine. So that's all good. Both of those went on first time. So what I'll do now is I'll pop them on the bike. I'll go and just ride around the block a little bit, just get them seated in, and they're good to go. So that's it, all done. If that took me 10 minutes, I'd say that was excessive. Taking off the old ones and cleaning it all out. It's nice and straightforward, and they're on there nicely, ready for some more abuse while I commute. But yeah, is there anything else you know? Any other little tips that I should be aware of? Like I said, that's become my sort of go-to method. And touch wood, it's been pretty flawless ever since. I'm not a fan of just pouring it straight into the tyre and then trying to blow them on. I find that that's just way too messy. Just injecting it straight through, especially on these bigger tyres, just makes things a lot more simpler. So let me know.